Hey y'all, so if you have not seen last week's video, I definitely recommend going and watching that video before you tune into this one. Otherwise you'll be starting right in the middle of a story and you might be really confused. And also in regards to last week's video, I said that I was diagnosed on October 22nd of 2016, and I'm not sure where I got October 22nd from. I was actually diagnosed October 20th. If you check a calendar, October 22nd is actually a Sunday. So I do apologize for that. That was incorrect. So last week I talked about everything upcoming to when I was diagnosed, and then I talked a little bit about being diagnosed. So today I'm going to pick up right where I ended. And so being diagnosed was really, really difficult. Because I did feel so broken and like there was something just so wrong with me. So Saturday, I was diagnosed Friday. Saturday, everything was great. Everything went fine. I was at home. And so Sunday came along and I was sitting in church and I started to have a panic attack. So I got up and I left church, and I just started thinking about the fact that I had to go back to school. And I just did not want to go back. So I got over that. I went home and I packed my bags and I went off to school. And so I got there and I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell the girls that I was living with. I didn't tell any of them what had happened that weekend because I did feel so ashamed about it and I didn't want it getting out. And so the following Monday, in class, one of my professors said that she wanted to meet with me just to discuss my grades. And like I said in the video before, I was failing every single class because I did not care about anything. And so when people tell me things like they want to talk to me, but they'll talk to me later, I actually start to get very, very nervous. And so I was very anxious to go meet with her. Even though I knew what it was about, I didn't have what I felt like was a valid excuse. And so I went and met with her later in the day, and she asked me why I was failing my classes, and I just started crying, and I told her everything. I told her that I was diagnosed that weekend, and I honestly didn't think that she would even believe me. And so I brought the medications that I had been prescribed. I took them to her office, and I said, here's what I've been prescribed. This is real. Like, I really do have it. I'm not just making up excuses. And she could tell that I was very, very upset about it. And so she told me that I needed to go speak with the lady who was in charge of the nursing department. And so I went and spoke with her, and she really advised me to move home and to get myself adjusted to being diagnosed and having to deal with this and figuring out what works for me. And she told me that they would hold my spot if I decided that I did want to come back to nursing school. I could just pick up right where I left off. And so when I left her office, I called my parents, and immediately they said yes. They were like, we think that that is a great idea. That's what we want as well. We want you to be able to come home and recover and feel like you have all this under control. So the next day, my dad drove up to college, and he helped me move everything out and pack up the car, and we drove home. And I only told the people who absolutely needed to know. And so that was the girls that I lived with, and I told just some of the people higher up that needed to know, like my professors, and then I had to go through like the registrar's office and the dorm that I was living with. Some of those people needed to know. And so I told all of those people, I said, I don't want it getting out that I'm leaving, because eventually it will, but just tonight, it's going to be difficult enough. I don't want to be flooded with all of these text messages or phone calls, what's going on, all these questions that I didn't have answers for. And so when I got home, it was dark outside, it was night, and I found out that they had had a meeting that night, and someone in the meeting had announced that I had moved. So I did end up getting flooded with text messages and phone calls, and I ignored all of them. And so people actually started reaching out to my brother, trying to just get answers. And that kind of upset me a little bit, because I felt like all of these people are now concerned why did Becca move? But where were all of you when I was at my worst? And so that's the difficult part, is I've definitely noticed just seeing a lot of other people that deal with these same issues. When things go wrong for them, that's when people come out. And it's like, where were all of you before? So I moved home, and that was really, really difficult for me to move home. I went into a state of depression, which I was kind of already in, but I just went into it again. And so I ended up I had a summer internship the summer prior to the school year, and they ended up giving me a part-time job when I got back. And so I started therapy. And a lot of people think therapy is the worst thing in the whole world. Oh my gosh, therapy, like, who wants to go to a shrink? Like, therapy's for crazy people. And it's actually not. It was very eye-opening to me. She made me realize that I'm not crazy, like, that this is totally normal. And she just compared it to, one thing that she compared it to that really, really helped me was, my brain does not produce serotonin, just like a diabetes body does not produce insulin. So it's kind of the same thing. It's not the same thing, but it kind of is. So that really was an eye-opener to me. As hard as being diagnosed was, I feel like I learned how to cope with it pretty early on. And I still felt ashamed about it, so I still didn't really tell people, but I did tell a few of the people that I was closer to, and most of them were extremely accepting of it, and they were like so supportive. And then there was a couple, though, that they did call me crazy. But what I learned is the people who call you crazy for it or don't really believe you, it's because they don't know anything about it. And so and that's the difficult part, is they're not willing to learn. And so that's what I'm hoping to do with these videos, is not only help those who do have it, but kind of educate those who don't have it. And so I definitely still face depression and anxiety on a daily basis, but it's nothing like it once was. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the medication that I do take and the support system that I have. I have people who I never even thought would be such a wonderful support, that are my number one people. And so I'm so thankful for them, and I know that I don't tell them that enough, and how much they really mean to me. And so next week I am going to just kind of talk about, this was my story, but I know that a lot of other people don't deal with it the same way that I did. And so next week I'm going to talk about how other people may deal with it, and so you can kind of recognize the signs of maybe an oncoming panic attack or depression, and you can kind of be made aware of that. And then as the videos go on, I will start addressing body issues. I know that I said I would talk about that in the very first video that I made, and I will get to that eventually, but just one step at a time. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you for all the love and support that you guys have given me. You've made me want to continue to do this, and you've definitely taken some of the anxiety off of me when it comes to posting these videos, because it's extremely nerve-wracking, just thinking, what if I don't reach anyone? What if people don't care about this? But you guys have reached out to me and really shown that you care what I have to say, and it means the world to me. So stay tuned. I will post another video next week.